This is a clock kit that I got a few years ago. I put it together and the thing didn't work at all, dead. And I decided to try to figure out what I did wrong. I'm gonna show you this kit here. Now they have changed the board layout since I got this kit. These resistors, for example, are now vertical instead of like in pairs like this. Some of these other parts have changed around, but I'm gonna explain to you the problem with this early kit. I'm not sure if newer ones are also the problem as well. They're very cheap. You can get them on AliExpress or eBay even $3-4, maybe even less for everything you see here, which is a fantastic bargain and a great experience trying to solder this thing, a good way to practice your soldering skills. Unfortunately, it is not for beginners, and I'll explain to you why. If we flip this guy around, you'll notice, I'm gonna zoom in here, don't need that magnifying glass. I've had to do a lot of, as you can see, bodge wires. And the reason for that, that's the actual original board from icstation.com, ICSK058A. Of course, this has changed. The layout is no longer like this. So I'll tell you what happened. First of all, the pads themselves are extremely small, and when you solder to them, any slight movement rips it off the board. The traces are also extremely small, and so it's very easy to bungle it up, end up losing continuity along your traces. So for example, here, I soldered this in place, this voltage regulator right there, 78L05, and guess what? I had no continuity between this trace and the rest of the board. So I ended up having to, of course, essentially scratch the coating on the PCB and extend it and try to tack on. And that happened in a few other places. For example, here, when I was putting in this transistor right there, Q7, same thing happened. The pads lifted and I had to basically jump across to whatever else I could find that was continuous with it. Here, I had no continuity all the way to this point. I even tried to tack it onto the board there, but had no luck. Eventually just bodged the wire over to wherever that trace led. And so that's the theme of this board. Essentially, these LEDs that I put in originally did not light up. I don't know why. They were D3 and D4, I think. And I had to go get my own LEDs. I had a huge pile of them, so I just soldered them in place. When I removed the original ones, you can see all of the traces got lifted up and removed. So I had to just bodge it over to where it was continuous with the rest of the circuit. Now, somewhere along the way, even though you can see all these display elements intact, this one right here, LED2, the bottom element there, it's called D, no longer works. I've tried everything I can, but basically pins 10 and what looks like 6 here, which is the voltage supply, and 10 is pulled down through resistors here to the chip. It's shorted internally. I cannot get that LED to light up, that bottom one right there. So let's go through the modes here. You'll see when I do that. Let's see if I can get through a mode here. There, okay, this is a way to set the timer. So you can press S1, I believe, to increase it. So let's just make it 8. Okay, we'll make this 8. So you can see that all of the elements, that you can't make 8 anyway because it can't go higher than 58 seconds. Okay, anyway, let's do that. 0, 1, 2, 3, you can see everything works there. Here, the bottom doesn't work. And it doesn't matter what I do, I cannot get that LED to light up. It's annoying. I mean, I still know what the time is because just looking at that, you can tell. But it is annoying that it doesn't turn on. And yeah, if I try to, it's basically refreshing this display using a multiplexing. So what it's doing is it's running through all three quickly. You don't see it because it goes so fast. And when it does so, it's actually driving all three displays off the same circuit. You know, it's basically just switching from this one to this one to this one to this one, and so on. And so if I try to get, you know, the pin out for that specific LED and try to bodge in another LED to replace that segment, it won't work because it's being shorted internally through here. And so if I ended up trying to manage it, I can't just do that one alone. I'd have to do both bottoms. So this 8 there, I can disable that particular circuit so that I can get this bottom element here of this 8 gone too, right? Which is that one there and that one, and then just drive those two separately by putting 2 more LEDs here, like D3 and D4. I can just shove a couple there. It's not worth it because it won't look good. I'd rather just leave it alone like this. I tried doing some other stuff here, but it didn't work. And then we have essentially a jumper 2, which is unpopulated. I did not get any parts for that. I believe it's just to mute the speaker. The speaker is annoying. You can see here, if I short it out at the back here with this huge mess here with that with Q7, you'll notice it's sounding here. And the display just went funny. But that's it there. Okay, here we can reset the clock. Just plug it in again. It goes back to 10. So this thing, if you manage to get a working one and you solder it together nicely, it's a pretty cool kit. Just be careful not to mangle it like I did and then have to repair it. You do have what looks like a stopwatch. You can set the time here. I think this is the alarm, like that. Okay, this is a counter, so you can increase the time on the counter. Okay, okay, let's set it to 50000, and now I think it'll time down. 4, 3, 2, 1. So you could set all your digits 0. It should have made a sound, but it's not doing anything. Not sure why. Okay. The other, is a stopwatch. This is the stopwatch. You can stop it and then reset, start, stop, reset. And then you can go back to the current time. You can set the time when it's flashing. You see, you can just increase the hours by pressing S2, and you can increase the minutes by pressing S1. It's gonna keep counting LED 3 seconds, so don't worry about that, okay? By the way, I did want to swap. I thought of swapping these two so that at least I could get this display to look nicer. But knowing how thin these traces are and how badly these pads are attached to the PCB, I did not want to risk removing and swapping these two. Once they're in, they're in. I'm going to destroy it if I try to pull, you know, melt the solder on all 5 of these things at once. 10, actually. Try to suck off the thing and pull it through. I'm gonna destroy it, so I didn't bother doing that. So yeah, it has a stopwatch, a countdown timer, an alarm, and various other functions, all for extremely cheap. One other thing I didn't mention was the documentation on this thing is pretty crappy. Notice even on the board here, it says plus minus, and yet the connector that it was supplied with has a black wire for plus and red wire for minus, which is usually opposite normal convention. You usually have red for the positive and black for negative. And I mean, you can figure that out pretty quickly because you can see the board, that diode going, what is it, 1N4007. The negative is with that stripe, and you can see how it's connected on the back. So right away, you can tell that the board is actually laid out properly, but the connector's got the wire swapped. It actually runs somewhere between, I believe, 7 to 12 volts. So you usually want to use 9. If you try to run it on 5, it won't work. It does get powered by a 5 volt here because of the this voltage regulator. But yeah, I fed it in 9 volts using a little power dongle that I got. But basically, if you get one of these kits for cheap online, you have to be careful because things may be mislabeled. So don't go by the wire convention. Check to make sure you have the right voltage. And here, I'll show you what the power supply looks like for this thing. Hang on a second. There, I use this thing here. Output 9 volts, 200 mA. Now, if you just check the bare voltage coming out of this thing when it's not under load, it does come up like 12, 13, 14 volts because it's not going through anything. As soon as you connect it up to something with a bit of load, which will create some resistance to this, it will drop lower. So I'm not really sure 100% what I'm running this at, but it's certainly somewhere probably between 7 to 12 volts, and it runs fine. But that's what I used. Otherwise, you'll have to put together a 9-volt battery to run this thing, or you'd put about, I'd say, 6 AA's. That should give you 9 volts as well. Or you can even do 5 AA's, should give you about 7.5 volts. And that might be enough to run this thing. So that is a very inexpensive do-it-yourself clock kit available. This is just one particular brand IC station, but there are many others now available with slightly different layouts, all using the Atmel AT89 C2051 chip. And it is a fun project, but again, be wary that if you get a really not very good board with very, very thin traces and not a good quality board, you're gonna have some issues. Be very careful when you solder this up, lest you end up creating problems and then having to troubleshoot and put in bodge wires like I have done. So thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and bye for now.